大家好，我是 Olive Branch Allen. So a lot of you guys are now getting into an exercise routine, which is great. You might be exercising for a while now, but you might be plagued with some small injuries or even some bigger injuries that are so serious that you have to stop your training. I know it can be very frustrating since you're just starting a routine, maybe you're showing some progress and now you have to stop. So frustrating, but we've all been through that, and I know I certainly have. In this video, I'm going to share with you some tips on how you can avoid the chances of getting injured so easily. And perhaps I'll be talking a bit about body mechanics and some of the exercise experience that I've been through over the years, and hopefully you might find that useful. So the first thing that you need to understand is your exercise of choice. So whether that would be football or cycling or running or lifting weights, they all have their inherent risks. And so you need to understand intimately what those risks are, which is the first step in trying to prevent injury. The second factor that you do need to consider is aging. As we all get older, sarcopenia sets in, which is the loss of muscle mass, as well as osteoporosis, which is the loss of bone mineral density. This is inevitable as we get older, as that everything starts to get weaker. And so although you can do things to stave it off, like weight training to keep bone mineral density and keep stronger muscles, and that will help prevent injury, it is a natural decline. So you do need to consider at what age are you doing your choice of exercise. Having said that, you should definitely still exercise or begin a new exercise routine if you haven't already, because exercise still is the best way of preventing further injuries that could be more catastrophic if you don't exercise at all. And so you need to take those risks, and hopefully if you're experienced, then your risk is already well mitigated. But if you're new to exercise and you're a little bit older, then definitely I would recommend finding a very good PT, a personal trainer. The third point is to know thyself. So you should have a good understanding of your history of injuries. So if you've had a history of sprained ankles, then when you go on a trail run, you should take extra precaution. Or if you have a bad shoulder, rotator cuff tears, then be careful when you're playing sports that have an overthrow motion, overhead motion, like playing tennis or playing badminton might be a stressor on the shoulder. So you just need to make sure that whatever you're exercising actually makes sense to what injury that you already have, or just take the necessary precautions. Number 4 is a lot of people who are getting older, they're afraid of getting injured, they're actually scared of doing weight training or increasing their load because they think it's a high risk of injury. And I just want to say that you shouldn't be afraid of load by itself. You should be afraid of load and bad form, because if you have bad form, then the load will definitely make things worse. It will have a higher chance of injury. But I do want to stress that having a really excellent technique will stave off most of that risk. The load itself won't be that much risk of injury as long as you've been training gradually and progressively. Then while you're adding more and more load, you'll be getting stronger. Whereas if you don't add any load and you always work with very low resistance, then you will not be getting stronger. By definition, strength is determined by how much you're adding force to something. So if you're not increasing the load, you'll never get stronger muscles and your bones won't get stronger either. So definitely don't get scared of more load. Focus on better technique, which might require hiring, again, a very good trainer. So if it's not load, the actual factor that is the main cause of injury is actually impact. And impact is forces that is directed at a point in your body, and that point is usually either in your bones or in your joints or your muscle, your soft tissue. And that is usually can be summed down to impact as force. In physics, that's just equal to mass times acceleration. So when we think about lifting heavy, we think about a lot of mass. So yes, there is that risk of injury when you have extra load, but the other side of that equation is the acceleration. So how fast are you lifting that load? So the faster you're moving something, then multiplied with the mass will have a huge force. So as long as you're lifting really heavy or lots of resistance, then do it slowly so that can minimize impact to the joints and muscles. And as you do this progressively, you'll get stronger and stronger and stronger, allowing you to handle more and more load. Again, keeping the acceleration to 0. So this is one of the easiest ways and to prevent injury while also staying very, very strong. Point number 6 is to try to avoid putting your joints into extreme ranges. So I have a client who was doing some stretching. And so yes, even stretching can be dangerous if you're not mindful of what you're doing. and she was doing a bend at the waist, and that put her disc into herniation, and then that put her out for over a week, and she was in a lot of pain. And I have another friend who was stretching his tricep, and he did that and tore the muscle. And this was after a really rigorous weight training session the day before. And so when he stretched the second day, he ripped the muscle, and then that caused actually a very serious disease called rhabdomyolysis, and he had to be hospitalized. So point is that you guys have to be very careful when you're putting your joints and your muscles into an extreme position. Point number 7 is to have an increased body awareness. Try to understand your body, try to know your body better, so that you can start to identify good pain versus bad pain. And so what do I mean by that? Good pain is when you're really pushing hard and you're feeling that burn in the muscles and you really want to stop because of that uncomfortable feeling. That's probably good pain because it's pushing your body to your limits, so it's allowing it to grow and get stronger. Bad pain is mostly joint pain, or a feeling that something's not right and that something might snap or break. And so you want to be very familiar with the two different types of pain. A lot of my clients, they actually are not aware, and they just lump it all together as this general pain. And when it's not until I start to ask more detailed questions do they really identify that, okay, it's just the normal fatigue type of pain, versus joint pain where there's something that's not right in the knee. So be careful what type of pain it is, because it can actually indicate an injury is upcoming, and then you can stop before that actually happens. Okay, the 8th and last point is when you're coming out of a long break or like a vacation, a holiday, and you haven't been training for a while, and you're going back into the gym or you're going back into your exercise routine for the first time, that first time is actually the most dangerous part of your whole routine. And that's because coming back from a long break, your muscles, your bones, your tendons, ligaments, the joints, they've all deconditioned a bit. They've atrophied, they've gone weaker. But your mind might still be from where you left off, which is on a high note, which means you could be feeling very strong still. You still feel very pumped. You're still very motivated. Okay, I'm back from my holiday, time to hit it hard. But your body has deconditioned. And so you could be pushing the body where it's not ready to be. And so your mind could be overly strong compared to what your body can handle. And that disconnect can often lead to an injury. I've actually personally experienced that myself, where I've gone back to a gym after a long period of time and I start to lift the same weight that I left off at my highest point, which was very, very foolish of me. And then I did actually hurt my shoulders. So the point that I want to make, guys, is that when you're going back into a routine, even if it's just 2-week holiday, I would definitely lower the weights. Be overly conservative when you're coming back. Cut it in half and build up your muscular endurance first. And so once you do that a few times, you get more confident. You begin building more of your muscular endurance back. Your tendons become stronger and your muscles get stronger, and then you can start to handle the heavier load. So that's it, guys. Those are my 8 points that can help you prevent an injury. Again, I do recommend that you consult a doctor over all this information. This is just purely for your informational purposes only. But I do hope it helps. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.